and welcome to the Sugar Bell Review, a program dedicated to learning about the people, places, and policies that make up the Bellbrook Sugar Creek community. Our goal is to discover the vast diversity of interests, talents, and cultures that fill our neighborhoods. This stage is a place for voices to be heard, life experiences to be shared, and love to be spread. We want to celebrate the things that make us unique and the things that bring us together. We are Bellbrook Sugar Creek, and together we are strong. Today, I have with me Kelsey Hurlbert and Annie Pryor. They work at the Bellbrook Family Resource Center and have been gracious enough to be willing to be our first interviews ever.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
We're very excited to be here.
So, tell me, how did you guys get involved with the Family Resource Center? I didn't even know it existed until last fall.
Well, I've been volunteering there for about 2.5 years. I started when my youngest child went off to school all day, and I finally had some free time. And I always wanted to volunteer because the thought of a child not having enough to eat or a coat, I can't deal with that. So I had to do something to help make sure that wasn't happening anywhere near us.
Okay.
So a friend told me about the Resource Center. I had not heard of it either. And I just started going, and I met Susan Lopez, the director at the time, and just started coming to help all the time and stock shelves, put away cans, sort donated clothing, and I just really enjoyed it, especially when a client came in and needed help finding something. I loved to talk with them, and so I've just been doing that ever since.
That's awesome. And Kelsey, how'd you get involved?
Well, I moved to the community in July. We came from Germany in the Kaiserslautern military community. We'd been there for a few years, and while I was there, I did a lot of work creating and sharing resources. So a lot through Facebook, a lot through just kind of getting involved in the community. I mostly targeted my resources at mental health, maternal mental health, and at parenting children with special needs. So resources became like a very big passion of mine. And when I got here, I was kind of browsing online, like, what does Bellbrook offer? What's around? And I saw the Bellbrook Sugar Creek Family Resource Center. It's like, oh my gosh, a resource center right in my town that I moved to. Like, how is this possible?
Perfect.
It's perfect. Right. So I was like, okay, I think that this might be meant to be. I need to call them. So I called, I sent an email, and I was able to get in touch with Sarah Williams, who was our interim director for a few months. And she said, great, come on board. So I became the community resource and engagement manager for a while. I needed to have that word in my title, resource. And
It's a good word.
It's a very good word. And so I was able to help with basically getting our clients connected to resources. So really kind of helping them, when you sit down and talk to somebody, you can really find out what are their needs. And I was able to use that time to say, and this is what the community can offer. This is what we can offer here. How can we help you? How can we get you to move to the next level? Kind of a hand up, right?
So now you're the director?
And now I'm the executive director, yes. Coronavirus within the Resource Center kind of changed everything. So I'm now the executive director, and Annie is our program manager, and she is fabulous.
Thank you.
Definitely saw some photos that we will go into later with the second half of the interview, and we talk about a day in the life of the Resource Center, of you with the clothing, and I love the locker usage. I thought that was hilarious. So can't wait to show people those pictures with the next interview. But let's focus on you guys still for the moment. So tell me, you said you just got here recently, and before that was Germany. I'm kind of curious because it's a community show about Bellbrook, and why here?
So when we were talking to our realtor, we were looking a few different places. She suggested Kettering, Beaver Creek, Centerville, and she said, if you can manage it, the gold star, if you can get to Bellbrook, try and go to Bellbrook. So we looked around at a bunch of different places, and we found a house in Bellbrook, and it was just, we were so excited to potentially be in this community.
What made it the gold standard?
So I really think it was a combination of being a charming, quaint, adorable, friendly town, and the reputation of the schools. The schools just brought together, that people, right, who wanted a great education for their children. And we were like, well, we want a quaint town, and we want a great education for our child. So let's come to Bellbrook. We can get in. So we took advantage.
That's cool. Yeah. And you guys have been here longer?
Yes, we have been here for about 15.5 years, and we picked Bellbrook we had been in Florida before that, just briefly, but, I was just, my husband's like Centerville, Kettering, Beaver Creek, Bellbrook, Sugar Creek, and I like the names Bellbrook and Sugar Creek the best. And he said, well, they have excellent schools. I'm like, and good school colors. So I was like, let's look there.
Very regal,
Yes,
purple and gold. It's
Right.
very royal. Well, that's cool. Well, we're glad you're here. What you guys are doing in the community is definitely a very special gift that you can give us.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate it. So tell me more about your families. You guys have people at home that that makes volunteer time you have to work around?
So I have a daughter who just turned 5.
Aw.
She is adorable. She loves to read. She has a great imagination. We play a lot of pretend. We are almost always in character. And so she comes with me to the Resource Center actually pretty often. We have a lot of toys there that kids are able to take when they come, through with their parents. And she just loves to
She
be
tests
in the
them all
research. She
out,
tests
make sure
them.
they're great. It's part of
Kid-tested, mother
volunteering.
approved.
Yes.
Exactly, yes. So she's at home, and then my husband is at home too. And he's been in the military for almost 19 years in the Air Force. And
Wow.
his hair is currently the longest I've ever seen it because he's working remotely. So it's kind of amazing to he's just, anyway.
I can imagine it's usually fairly short, I'm assuming, if he's
Yes.
working on base.
Right, yes.
Definitely. And how about you?
I have 3 kids at home. My son John's 15, my daughter Katie's 12, my son Michael's 9. They all go to the Bellbrook schools. My husband is an electrical engineer and works in Beaver Creek. So we also have a dog and a little bunny who's the cutest thing ever.
Okay. What did you call it? Because I think it's the most perfect name.
Her name is Cream Puff. She is a house bunny. She's litter box trained and has free roam of the upstairs. She stays upstairs because the dog lives downstairs and I'm worried he'll eat her. So she stays upstairs, but she's wonderful.
Awesome. And do you have pets?
I do. I have a lot of cats, an embarrassing number. We're at about 3.5 right now.
A half a cat.
A half a cat.
You're going to have to give me more. 'Cause that, is not leaving a pretty mental picture.
Fair enough. Yeah, the front half. Just kidding. We are in that transition stage where we had a stray who started coming by a lot. We tried to find his family. It didn't work out. He was really dirty. He had some illnesses. He wasn't neutered. So we wanted to do our part to help him out, and he's been around for about 1.5 months now. We're trying to see if maybe somebody wants him, but we're also kind of thinking, maybe we should just keep him. So we're still in that stage. That's why he's a half. We haven't fully committed, but we would love to be able to keep him.
Well, that's cool. And do you guys do anything outside of the Resource Center?
Well, I actually run a few businesses from home.
Congrats.
Before I had kids, I went to Ohio State for graduate school and got my PhD in biochemistry. So I did a lot of lab research at that time. But after I had my first baby, I just refused to leave him. So I became a stay-at-home mom. And so I just love my kids. That's my favorite job of all. But my mind, couldn't stay still. So I did a lot of research on my own. After my kids had a couple of stomach bugs, I realized those are horrible. Anything that keeps mom up all night, I think is...
Washing sheets.
Yes, yes. So I did some research on how we could minimize the number of times we have to go through that. And I put all my results that I discovered on my website, stopthestomachflu.com. And so it's full of tips on how to avoid getting and spreading stomach bugs, and also addresses food poisoning and stuff like that. I also started testing like hand sanitizers and cleaning products for how well they kill germs, just using auger plates. They're all that simple enough that you could repeat them for science fair projects. Right now I'm testing a UV light wand killing the germs on a face mask. So stay tuned for those results.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. So my experiment results are on my website, drannysexperiments.com. And there's a YouTube channel, Dr. Annie's Experiments, that I put videos on. So that takes care of my science, background. But I also invented a product. When I had 2 little kids wearing bibs at meals, I would have these cloth bibs, and they'd be covered in spaghetti, and I'd throw them laundry and not wash it for 3 days, and they'd be disgusting, and I'd have to throw them out. So I'd get rinse-off bibs that you rinse off after meals, and I'd know where to hang them. And so I invented this bib drying rack, that you sit next to the sink and wash them and hang them right up, and then they're dry by the next meal. And as my kids got bigger, I started using it for their sports water bottles and dish towels and a bunch of other things. So it's grown into a multi-purpose drying rack that is available on Amazon for lots of different things. And
cool.
It's made in the USA, right an hour away in Indiana. The factory brings them to my house, and I've been to the factory. It's nice to have a good factory making your product, not worrying about who's making it in some other country. So it's great. I have it patented and trademarked. So
I will have to look into that.
Thank you.
What's the name of the product?
Oh, it's the Mommy Genius Drying Rack. My business name was Mommy Genius.
Well, it does sound pretty genius.
It was just a stroke of Mommy Genius when I came up with it.
We have one at home and it's wonderful.
Awesome.
We use it for a lot of different things.
Thank you.
How about you? What do you do outside of volunteering?
So I do a lot of things related to resources. I created a resource guide in the Kaiserslautern military community for once your child gets diagnosed with autism. And that is now distributed as a parent receives a diagnosis for their child. They get this booklet. This is what you do. These are your next steps. These are your supports. These are your important phone numbers. So they can walk away with like, oh, I have something now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something you can hold. I've done some research related to maternal mental health in the military community. I'm also currently working on a research project for the Military Birth Resource Network, basically evaluating military births across 20 years. So we're kind of looking at a bunch of different data, and I'm right now going through all of that data and getting ready to put it out into the world.
So what is it that you do that would lead you to, I mean, thank you for doing it. It's amazing, but I'm curious as to what path you took educationally that put you on this.
I have a master's in social work.
Okay.
And I foresee possibly a PhD in social work at some point. So we'll see. Maybe if Annie will come with me. So I've done a few different things. I've made some different resources. I've created some support groups that are really flourishing and offering parents like a place to get support. So
you guys help inside your homes. You help outside your home.
we try to.
You guys just don't know what to do with yourself unless you're doing something for other people. That's amazing.
I don't watch TV. I'll watch this show.
Thank you. I'm glad. Hopefully it'll be easy to find. But it'll be on the YouTube too. So, yeah, there we go. We can maybe, poke each other and say, hey, check out this other video I'm in. That's really neat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we really, really appreciate you being willing to be our guinea pigs on this experiment, hopefully a long-term one. But join us as we go into the day at the Resource Center in our next segment. So thank you so much. We're glad you could join us, and thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.